War Eagle, everybody. We are here, the War Report, back with our post game. Tennessee goes down to Auburn with a score of 30-17. All right, so if you're not liking and subscribing on the YouTube yet, I just really don't know what's going on with you. Let's get these numbers up. Auburn family, where y'all at? Let's make it happen. The War Report on Twitter and Instagram. If you didn't see, we were live tweeting during the game today, and we will have some posts coming up on Instagram. On Instagram, our player of the game is going to be going up. So you'll have to tune in on Instagram and see who that's going to be. Then we have TW Report with the TikTok. It's just me and C Dub after the game, and all of you who are joining us live out there. C Dub, how are we feeling about today's performance? Second half, a lot better than the first half. And what we hoped to see was a little bit more of a dominant performance out of our team on both sides of the ball. I think we got that.
Yeah, agreed. I feel relieved. It was a continuation of what was happening at the end of the first half, and it was funny. As soon as the second half they showed the graphic of the stats per quarter, and you could see us beginning to assert ourselves and get better. And it was a continuation of that in the second half. I was pleased with that first drive. It ended on a sack, but it was good to see us figure out other ways to move the ball. I was actually pleased with some of the decisions Bo was making on that drive. I felt like had it not been for that sack, we definitely had a good shot at punching it in the end zone and really putting pressure on Tennessee. But overall, I was pleased with it. The only thing I'm disappointed is we got beat up pretty bad this game, man.
Yeah, somebody just said that. I hope the injuries aren't serious. I'm hoping Tank's thing isn't something that's going to be too bad.
Ham,
Ham on the offensive line, Christian Tutt there at the end.
Newkirk
went out close to the end of the game. So we've got a couple of guys who are really big rotational players that are hurt. Our right tackle, I think Ham is playing tackle right now.
Yeah,
Hurt.
Ham was playing tackle.
Right tackle hurt. Starting running back hurt. That's not great. Christian Tutt, who hasn't, Tutt hasn't played great this season. And we'll see who else it can. Pritchett's been playing pretty well on the outside. I wanted to see Marco Damio play. Maybe this is his opportunity to step in and play that star. We don't know what's going to happen with that, but but yeah. So we'll see what happens, and we have a juggernaut next week in Alabama. So those injuries are going to be key. So we'll have to keep an eye on what's happening with that. It's sad to say that we just came off of 2 bye weeks and we come back and we have injuries as opposed to the injuries going into the bye weeks. So
Right.
it's just horrible. But it is what it is. It's football. You kind of have to live with it. But we will see what goes down with that. So let's talk about our grades. Let's go ahead and get into these grades for our groups here. And we'll start, of course, with special teams in this game. What are you giving your grade for the special teams tonight?
I think I'm gonna give special teams. I think I'm gonna give them an A here. I can't think of anything glaring. Um, we did well kicking field goals. We fielded kickoffs pretty well for the most part. There was one good return that they had, but
Right.
he got out to the 30, I think. He didn't really gash us, but for the most part, I think special teams did his job. So
Yeah, I have to agree. The only glaring thing to me was that decent return that they had. Great job by Schenker on the onside kick for recovering that with no problem.
right.
Reese comes up and gets a short kick and fields that with no issue. So special teams did their job. Nothing terrible, nothing absolutely stellar. Great kicking field goals there. So I have to agree with you. I'm going to give an A to the special teams as well. Let's move on then to the defensive side of the football. What are we giving our defense for tonight?
So we're just grading the defense outright, but we're not doing positions.
Yeah, just outright defense. Whatever the conglomeration of all of those scores would be, combination of everything. Let's just talk about defense. How are we grading them?
I'm probably wanting to give the defense. I'm gonna give them a C plus overall. The D line I would give a C minus.
Yeah.
Just because we gave up 222 yards down. That's not good. That's almost a D.
Yeah.
I'm being really nice by giving them a C minus. Linebackers, much of the same. I would give them a C. The bright spot on our defense was the secondary. I mean, it wasn't until the game was pretty much decided. I mean, they had a lot of success in the first quarter throwing on us, but we made adjustments. Of course, the pick six by Smoke Monday. We had Smoke also had an opportunity at a pick early in the game.
Yeah, he
I
almost picked
think
off
it was
the one-yard
was it the
return.
first drive? I
Yep,
think.
yep. That's the reason
The
they
first
had to kick a
drive.
field goal.
Yeah, and it was the first drive, and I think Pritchett had an opportunity at a pick.
Yep.
So the defense was like the secondary was flying around. They were making plays. That was the bright spot. They would have gotten like a B if we was grading them individually. So you average them out with some of the things that I thought was disappointing. Gray went off for Tennessee. 173 yards. It doesn't make me feel good going into next week with Alabama because they have a monster at running back as well. So yeah, I would have liked to have seen a better performance out of our D line, and then one of our guys, Newkirk, goes down. It just I'm not really feeling good going into the Iron Bowl week. So I would just give overall a C plus with the performance. It did enough to hold Tennessee to 17, but when you break down the actual plays and the stats and how they went about getting their 17, it leaves me to be concerned because this was a Tennessee team that by and large was anemic. Yeah. So going against an Alabama team that has no issues on offense, scoring and moving the ball, I'm a little worried.
Yeah, I'm going to give a solid C to the defense. I was definitely the defensive line had spurts in the game where they looked dominant. Close to the end of the second half, into the first half, into the second quarter, I thought the defensive line looked great. They were getting a lot of pressure without bringing blitzes. That's when they got to Garantano a couple of times. The run plays were getting stuffed. But Tennessee went back and they adjusted whatever their run stuff was coming into the second half, and the defensive line never readjusted to figure it out. And so,
right.
Though I do feel like they got away with quite a bit of holding, but holding happens a lot in football games. I just don't think we were getting the calls until like the last couple of drives. I was just like, why weren't we getting those same calls earlier in the game? Like it was clear that it was happening. Anyway,
right.
Yeah, I think what I'm hoping is that our defensive line, and somebody just commented that the defensive line is going to be more amped for the Iron Bowl than Tennessee. I think that might be a possibility that
I hope so.
Turns up. But they're going to have to play way.
I hope so.
Tonight,
I hope you're right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with your comment.
Yeah, so I give a solid C there for the defense. I do love the way that our defensive backs were playing once they kind of got their feet under them and were reading those crossing routes a little bit better.
They were locked in.
Yeah, I just don't think that Jerry. I mean, part of that is the guy who's throwing the ball. Like we talk a lot about Bo Nix, but like it's clear that he is not the worst quarterback in our league. He was playing against a worse quarterback tonight, and he just. I mean, for all of the moxie that Jared Garantano has, he just has not played well, and he has thrown. I saw a stat that said that he has thrown more pick sixes than he has touchdowns in the last 3 games, which is crazy. So he's thrown 2 touchdowns, but he's thrown.
Yikes!
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. All right, let's move over to the offensive side of the ball and let's talk about how the offense performed tonight. What are you feeling about our offensive performance?
I'm gonna give them a C. I'm gonna give them a C. I think that offensively, we did what we could. This game didn't go anything like they originally planned, right. And I felt like it was about them adjusting and being able to generate production and offense from whoever was willing to step up. I was proud of our running backs. DJ Williams, this was perhaps, I think he broke off one of the best runs I think I've seen all year from him.
Yeah. Showed some burst for the first time on a couple of runs tonight.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I was pleased with the guys stepping up in our running back core, and we were still able to run the ball and not have Bo Nix. It's obvious we're going for that 25 to 30 sweet spot with him, and we were still able to do that without it just being a 30 plus throwing game for Nick. So I was pleased to see that we were able to still stick to the game plan and not abandon it. So
Yeah.
um, there were, the O line was having a tough time at moments, but they began to assert themselves in terms of blocking. But again, I think a lot of what our running backs was able to do, we've seen Tank and how amazing he is break off some amazing runs, right?
Right.
Um,
Which
I
the
was
first the
pleased
first
with,
run he had in the game was one of those where it's like, man, this
yeah,
dude is
yeah,
special. Yeah, like that play was going nowhere. He broke the first tackle. He outruns the guy to the outside, stiff arms another guy, breaks another tackle, and ends up breaking that off for like 12 yards on a play that likely should have either been for no gain or maybe a loss of yardage. So it just shows how special he is with the football in his hands, and we're going to definitely need him to come back healthy. Hopefully, if he felt good enough to go out there and give it another shot in the same game. Hopefully, a week of rest and they're rehabbing that. He'll be fine going into the next game. But we'll see. That could have just been adrenaline and him, trying to grit it out. And it actually is something a little more serious that will require some time. So we'll see what happens with that. I think I'm going to go C plus on the offense. I could actually be pressed to say B minus. I actually think Bo Nix, after the pick, played fairly well for the remainder of the game. He had a couple of throws that were a little shaky out there.
hmm,
The one that he's rolling to the left and throws it up the
right,
sideline, kind of
right.
grabs. He
That could
actually,
have that could have changed the whole complexion of the game.
yeah, the throw that I still think could have been ruled a catch to Seth Williams, that probably should have been a touchdown if Bo Nix throws that out in front of him. That is a touchdown because he had the separation. He had to come back, adjust, and fall back for that catch, but he had already beat him. He was throwing the back shoulder as if the guys were even, and he should have thrown it to lead him because he was already up there in front of him. So, so yeah, I think that Bo, he still has some things that he needs to work on in order to be a quality quarterback. But he played a decent game after that. His slants were all on point that he threw. I can't remember a slant that he threw where I was just like, man, what was that throw? Um, there were a couple of throws that were what was that throw that came from him, not even mentioning the pick that he threw in the first half. So overall, I'm going to give it a C
He
plus
had
offensively.
he had one inaccurate throw, but
It was the dump off throw that he was trying to hit. It
yeah,
was a lot of that was the rush, but still, I think he had time to hit Shanker, and it looked as if I didn't see the whole play. It looked as if Shivers was actually open on the wheel route, and if he had had time, that might have been a big play. So yeah, overall, I mean, offensive line being kind of spotty here and there, especially with some people rotating in and out after Ham was out there. Troxel actually ended up playing a little bit because one of the other guys on the offensive line was hurt. So yeah, it's just the rotating door at on the left side is really going to be problematic for us, and hopefully we get some guys healthy. We'll have to see what the prognosis is on some of those guys.
I will say this. I was pleased to see Bo spread the ball around.
Yeah,
We begin to Shedrick Jackson
Cedric
caught.
Jackson had a catch today. He
He
actually had
he
two
had two.
targets.
He had two.
No, he had two catches, three targets. So I'm like,
Yeah,
wow, like the two slants he caught, and then he had another
the
target that
pass
ends up being a
interference.
pass interference. I'm like,
Yeah,
what? Shedrick Jackson is can't play football today, not just block. Because
I'm happy
blocking
to
is a
see
part of
that.
the game.
And
I'm proud of
and
Shedrick.
and Kobe Hudson, he targeted
Yeah,
him, but of course that got called back because of an O lineman who was downfield. But
yeah,
again, I was pleased to see other guys get involved in the offense.
yeah,
And to me, I think I can give the offense a C plus when I think about after that pick, because I felt like that pick could have also really been a turning point in the offense as well. It's kind of deflating to see Tennessee move the ball and then we turn the ball over like that once we have a
yeah.
success on the drive. But I felt like him settling down, him leaving the pocket when he needs to.
hmm
I think that's something that he was not
He
doing.
he showed a lot of patience in the pocket tonight. Like I saw him now. You can still see like he is hitching, like he's getting ready to release it, and he's like, "Wait, I don't need to throw that." And I can at least see him processing on the field
Yeah,
now. The first
yeah,
read's not there. Wait, nope, don't throw that one. Reset. And though he's throwing it off platform, he's at least saying to himself, "That's not the read. The read is
right.
being taken away. this is where I'm supposed to go with the ball. Like the second window, they pointed it out on the broadcast. If you were listening to the ESPN broadcast, there's a couple of times he actually did that. There's two windows on a lot of those slants. The linebacker dropped into the one to Seth Williams, and he doesn't throw it immediately because if he does, that's a pick, probably pick six going the other way. He throws it into the
Hmm.
second window just behind the linebacker as a completion on that slant. The other one where he does a second window throw is it was supposed to be a swing pass out to Schwartz on the right side. The cornerback jumps that, so he holds it a minute, lets Schwartz clear and get
Yeah, I
downfield,
do
and then
remember
throws it
that.
to
I
him.
do remember that.
So you can see him start to process. He's still not processing fast enough because against a better pass rush, he doesn't have time to hitch and reset and throw. He needs to be able to see that, keep it's like realize, okay, wait a minute, this is happening in front of me, reset and throw off of a better platform. But I
Right.
at least see him starting to process a little bit. You do see him get to his second read a couple of times tonight. So he's getting better. He still has the absolutely terrible pick in the first half that makes me say, God, why is this kid playing quarterback right
And I
now?
saw exactly what you saw.
Yeah,
Like I was like, he has real estate in front of him. I don't know if it converts to a first down or what,
yeah,
but you at least put your field goal kicker in a position to make a field goal kick, if even if you don't get the first down. It's
yeah,
better than what you did.
yeah. There's literally no reason to even throw that pass because Schwartz was open. So let's be clear, Schwartz was open, but he saw him super late.
Right.
By the time Schwartz stops his feet, it's too late to throw that pass, right?
Right.
Like you have to hit him while he's still moving. So I don't know. I hate when he does stuff like that. But it fortunately the guy on the other side of the ball throws an even worse pick later in the game and gives us 7 points. So I'm loving that.
He's got to play mistake free next week.
Yeah, there's no way he gets away with throwing an interception in the Bama game. Just Bama's got to completely collapse for that to happen. Defense has to play out of their mind. Like it's just there's a convergence of things that has to happen in order for us to be able to win that game. But we'll see what happens going forward. Let's talk about coaching. This is the one I think is going to be interesting. What are we giving our coaching staff grades for today?
Offensively, I'm gonna give them. I give the offensive coaches a B minus. Um, Actually, I give him a B. I give him a B because what can you do about your best player going out? You know what I mean? And um, I think the game plan that they had for Tennessee was a good plan, and I think for them to trust that plan, even with Tank going out, it paid off.
Yeah.
And I like. I'm again. We talked about Bo. There were some things we've criticized him for, but we're seeing him beginning to mature.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's still in the process. He's still in the maturation process, but I like what Chad Morris has been doing with Bo,
Yeah.
and I like for Bo to just do his job. He does, and I like to see that he's outside of that pick. He's playing less hero ball. He's just doing
Yes.
his job. He's just doing what he's supposed to do: protect the ball and take what the defense gives you. That's all the coaches is asking of you. And yeah, I just like the fact, man. I'm telling you, I like in the past when you saw the championship, the 2017. I'm gonna reference it again. When Johnson went out, we was lost
Yeah.
at running back. So for us to be utilizing multiple backs this year, to where our main guy goes out and our offense still like I credit that a lot to what they've done offensively. So
Yeah.
I tip my hat off to them preparing these guys for this moment and sticking to the game plan. It worked out.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Yeah, I think, coaching wise, the adjustments by the offense. I said this I don't remember whether it was in our chat or in our halftime thing. I wasn't really sure what the game plan was going in, and it may be because Tank went down that the game plan changed so drastically.
Right.
And so I credit them for being able to say, okay, what we intended to do, it's not working. So let's do something else. But what we're seeing, I think, is the Chad Morris effect on our offense. There's more things the defense has to think about on a consistent basis to be able to
Right.
stop us down to down, number one. And number two, Chad Morris is content with driving the ball methodically down the field. He's a very West Coast offense type of guy where it's like, okay, you're going to give us cushion. That's fine. I'll take 4 yards. I'll take another 5 yards, first down. I'll take 3 yards. I'll take 5 yards. You creep up, okay, we're going to go over the top. Like that's a hallmark of a West Coast style offense of one of those ball control types of offenses, and those are the things actually that you need to be able to do when everybody's high scoring. Solid offensive line play, squeeze the life out of the football. Like just don't give the other. Okay, you can score a lot of points. Great, we just won't let you touch it. That's that. Our game plan is keep away.
Right.
And Chad Morris is content with doing that. Gus Malzahn has not typically been content with that because he's noted in saying that he wants to have multiple.
Chunk plays.
He wants to get those chunk plays because that's how he can make the run game go, right? Like the run game is just to kind of bait you in and bait you, lull you to sleep, and I want to go over the top and get you a big play. Like he is frustrated with having to methodically move the ball down the field, and then that's why his offense falls apart in the red zone. Typically, for years and years and years, we had no red zone offense because Gus doesn't like having to play in the small spaces, right? He wants to air it out and give chunk plays to his offense. Chad Morris is like, all right, great, that's what we're gonna do, and Bo is starting to learn how to do that better. He's going to
Right.
take the underneath throws. He's going to hit the slants when they're needed. He's being more accurate. He's being more decisive with them. If he can limit his mistakes, then he can be a serviceable quarterback in this league. I don't know that he's going to be the Heisman candidate, lead us to a national championship. We could get to a national championship if we continue to play run game.
I think we could. I
Yeah,
mean,
the run
he's
game
yeah.
getting better, and him playing mistake-free ball. That's national title contention stuff. Just because we are only sitting on one L this year, if he does that in the Arkansas game, right? Like,
Right.
I think that's the frustration for this year. Is like the light
South
switch
Carolina.
came on. Excuse me, South Carolina. You're right. The light switch came on a little too late for us, and if we had just done it one game earlier, we're sitting in a position right now where we're actually talking about contention for an SEC title.
Right.
We still need to get past the juggernaut and then another really tough opponent the week after. But we've done it before, right? Like we played Georgia and Bama back-to-back weeks when both of them were ranked number one and beat them weeks in a row, right? Like that's not unheard of. But I don't know that we're quite as dominant as we were that year. That was 2017 when we were just like
Yeah.
beating the brakes off of people coming into the Bama
Yeah.
game.
The offense was humming
Yeah,
by this point.
yeah.
So
So I don't know, but overall, like I said, I feel like the coaches did a really great job of adjusting defensively. I didn't see really a ton of adjustments on the defensive side of the ball. I think Kevin Steele was content with just allowing them to do what they were doing as long as they like the thing I think frustrated me the most about our defense tonight was the big plays we were giving up on long down distance, right? Like he broke off a 30 something yard run on a third down and 20 and then another like 20 something yard run on first and 20. Like I just that frustrated me to see that.
I hated. I hated. Still likes the blitz.
Yeah.
He just like he likes to send pressure. I get it. I get it. It's fun when you're playing. It's fun when you're playing on a video game as well.
Right.
Like I get it, but I felt like the third and fifth. Like I hated that call. I
Yeah.
hated the exotic
There was
blitz. Like
there
there
was
was
no
really
reason. Yeah, there was no
really
reason to
no
send that
reason for
pressure.
that. There's really no reason for that. They get behind you. They pick the wrong gap. He's off to the races, which he was.
Yeah.
And it to me it led it is what started them just getting the ball rolling against our defense.
Right.
And it's almost as like Steele gets he's good for getting burned once or twice really bad in the game when he gets real blitz happy.
Yeah.
And they just made him they made him pay for it. I think that as far as a defensive grade, I don't know, man. I probably say maybe a B minus.
Yeah, I was gonna go B minus as well. It
B
wasn't bad.
minus.
I don't think the defensive coaching, the game plan coming in, it was clear. They said we're gonna make you run the ball. Like they were like
Right.
they were basically daring them to run the ball. I don't know, and then they shifted out of that, of course, and they started going to a heavy box because we were getting gashed. But there was just something about the way we were doing gap assignments. We weren't doing a scrape exchange right on the outside. Something was happening on that outside run, because what happened a lot with, and I'll have to give credit to the running back for Tennessee. He had a great game.
Oh, he
Gray
balled.
is he was going to, a middle run, and then he would just take a jump cut to the outside and make it out. And I just feel like the linebackers were guessing wrong a lot on where they were going to be doing their gap stuff, and as
They
opposed
were.
to just being sound and saying, this is my gap downhill into it. Because like one of the jump cuts that he made, they pointed it out on the broadcast. Um, it was McLean was actually in the hole. Like you can see him staring down the hole. And rather than attacking the lane, he stops and he's trying to guess where he's going to go. And it's like, you just got to get downhill before he makes the cut. If you do that,
Hmm.
you can limit that to, maybe a 2 or 3 yard game. And he ends up picking up like 12 on that play. It's like,
Right.
you have to know this is where my assignment is. Just go and get it. And be downhill. That's the one. That is the place where we're missing KJ Britt the absolute most, because KJ Britt is so downhill when he's coming to attack the hole. He's just like, look, okay, I'm B gap, let's go. Like
Right.
he's waiting, he sees his opportunity, and he's going and he's attacking that gap. Now McLean's played really well, still
He did. He
leading
did.
tackler in the SEC, playing really well all season. Speaking of people who played terrible games though, Derek Hall, wow, wow, terrible game today. Like he lined up offsides a couple of times. He gets the face mask penalty. He was getting beat to the out. Like his containment wasn't like he just did not have a good. He
He
came off
wasn't
of this
there
break.
today.
He came off of this break completely not ready to play football. I don't know what happened with him.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
so let's see. I got a couple of comments here. Cameron says, not saying we beat Bama, but if all of our guys play, we present a problem for the Bama dual QB, fast, big catch receiver, strong running game. Yeah, I mean, we've got the talent. Like, talent's not our issue. It's execution that's always been the problem. I think our offensive line needs to come back and be healthy for that to be a thing. The depth on the D line this season is definitely a problem for us. We don't have the same kind of rotation. Newkirk seems to really not
Yeah,
be in
we
great
don't.
shape. So like that's why you see gotten hurt a couple of times already. I just think it's a fatigue thing with him, and so we just don't have the rotation that we typically would have up front. And I still don't even like. I'd have to go look at the who played today. I don't know what the players were that were the COVID guys. Like who did not
I
play.
don't know either.
Yeah, so I need to go back and look at that.
I
And
think
maybe
everybody played.
I don't know. Maybe we'll be able to tell from a snap count or something like that. But I just think that um, we've got our hands full, of course, next week, and we're going to talk about that. So you guys make sure you're back here on Wednesday night, because we will be right here talking about our chances against Bama coming up next week. But overall, it's not a terrible game. It's definitely not the dominant performance I wanted. I was really close on a score count there. I called 32-15, and we ended up winning 30-17. I was off by 2 either way. Um, they just announced that game day will be at the Iron Bowl. Wow. I mean, like we're ranked, so I guess 2 ranked teams, that makes sense. And the rest of college football is kind of terrible this season, so why not bring it to the Iron Bowl, best rivalry in college football? Again, with both teams being ranked, sure. I don't really want to see us get destroyed on national television like that, but hey, whatever. We already know that Lee Corso is not going to pick Auburn, because he said he has a vendetta against Auburn, number one, for the fact that Auburn won't let him wear the Albie head to do his pick. So he's just not going to pick us to begin with.
And a part of me doesn't want him to wear the
I
Auburn
don't.
head
I
at this
don't
point.
want him to. Yeah. Uh, Listen, don't put our mascot head on. Just don't. I mean,
Good for us.
COVID's real right now, right? Like, so we're not gonna make a special one for you. Like, just know. But yeah.
Right. Fall back.
Um, so he said Zacchaeus Walker didn't play tonight. Okay. Um, and what was the I don't know what his first name is, but his last name is Johnson on the defensive line. He looked like he was playing really well tonight for us, and then he came up hobbling. I just our D line is struggling, and I think that is more of a symptom of why the run game was working so well. Is just fatigue on that D line. B Will was talking about that in our chat. Like the pick six was great for saving us from points, but the D had just gone down and had to survive a very long, grueling drive, and then they were right back out on the field again. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We've got a couple of days to get ready. Likely they have already been doing some installs for Bama because they had so much
I'm
time
sure
off.
they have.
And that was really my fear for this game was they weren't going to be looking ahead too much, and they were gonna, and they did, came out a little sloppy, came out not ready for this game because they were looking ahead to Bama. But again, Tennessee's not a great football team. I'm sorry for all of you Tennessee fans. They're just not a good football team, and
I
so
mean, I
Auburn
think they
should have won
know.
this game. Yeah, no,
I
they
think they
definitely.
know.
From Twitter, you definitely can tell Tennessee fans are completely over their football team for this season. So, it is what it is. Auburn gets the victory, 30-17. So we will see what happens next week in the Iron Bowl. We are always looking forward to that. So I have much junk to be talking over the next. Oh, wait a minute. Let me just, while I still can, remind y'all the 48 to
Hey,
45. You know what it is. All right, man. So we're going to be up out of here. Clicking like and subscribe on the YouTube, making sure you know when we're going live the next time. War Report on Instagram and Twitter. We are TW Report on TikTok. We also have the War Report Facebook page. Make sure you all are locked into what we got going on. We will see you all Wednesday night previewing the Iron Bowl 2020